everybody, my name is Biggles Mets. I am going to give a quick review on my thoughts of the new episode of Demon Slayer, The Flame Hashira. Now, I've been watching Demon Slayer since March of last year. Everybody was like, oh, the movie's coming out in America, you gotta watch it. So I watched the whole thing. This is now my favorite anime, and this happens to be my favorite episode. Now, it starts off after Rengoku leaves the Demon Slayer headquarters. And spoilers. There's going to be spoilers and my thoughts. It's not going to be too much. I'm not going to ruin a lot, but... so you start off and you see a little bit of the demon in this show. And it's not the demon that we originally think it's going to be. It comes out, you see the stripes on his face, and you're like... is that him? And then you realize that it's a different color, right? So you think it looks like it's the upper third, like the markings on his face is like the upper third that you meet in the movie. And he kills this conductor right off the bat, right? And you don't actually see him, you just see like the stripes, and then you see a quick flash of blue, and he kills him. Then you end up going to the station, and it is there are these two people. Fuku, I think is her name. When I first read it, because it's in subs, I thought it said F-U, right? That's what it looked like. F-U-K-U is her name. And I was like, I couldn't stop laughing. I was like, oh, her name's Fuck You, right? So I thought that was kind of funny, but that's only because I can't read right. And they're talking about demons. The grandmother's like, no, they're real. And like... The demons come out at night, so we want to get home. She's like, the demons aren't real. And Rengoku comes up and goes, or no, I skipped a part. They're eating in a noodle place, right? They started in a noodle place. Rengoku and one of the younger demon slayers. He doesn't get named in the show, but he's there, and they're eating noodles. They read about the train from the paper. And they say, oh, this is very, like, ominous. Very ominous. Like, it's whatever. And then we meet Fuku and her grandmother. And the grandmother says, oh, I would risk my life for you. And that comes up later, right? So we find out, and then Rengoku meets them. She throws a bag, or not a bag, like a pastry at Rengoku after... she's like, demons aren't real, because he goes up and just asks them, have you seen any demons around? Right? And the crow and the kids like, oh, and then he buys all the bento, which is the food. So he buys all of that and he leaves. And then he goes on this train. The conductor of that train goes and sees him, and he's like, who are you? Why are you here? And he's like, oh, I'm just a bento vendor. Nothing suspicious here. Now, that's my favorite line of the entire show. Nothing to see here, or nothing suspicious at all. And they go, and he's like, oh, well, that train's not in the station anymore. That's in a different thing. And he's like, oh, well, this is where I get off. And he just jumps off the plane, right? And not the plane, off the train. And the conductor is like, oh, but he jumps off and he just takes off running to the place. And he takes the bento that he has, and this is where we meet the Slasher, which is a speed demon. He goes over there and I'm from the Railroad Bureau or the Transportation Bureau or something, and I was told to bring bento to all of you. So he's like feeding all these people, and they go to see Tencho or something like that. I think that's his name. And that kid's actually being held up by the demon, the Slasher. And they go, and the kid drops, and Rengoku like takes off and goes there right to the back. The demon is like, oh, demon slayer, how dare you, or like something like that. I don't remember. He's like, oh, this is disgusting, or something like that, or repulsive, or something like that, about the bento food. And Rengoku's like, this was made with love by people I know. And he's like, disgusting is disgusting, or repulsive is repulsive, something like that. And then he's like grabbing the kid's face and like sticking his nails into him. And he's like, this kid, to come to think about it, this kid's blood is probably repulsive too. So Rengoku like misses him, and then he sees how fast this guy is, and he's like, oh, you never catch me, I'm the fastest demon. Rengoku slashes off his hands to get this kid after they like talk about like a girl that earlier that I didn't even bring up, so it's not important. Or it is important, but it's not important. He cuts off his hands, and then the guy takes off, and he's like, I'm going to kill these people that you know, right? Those two women, the bento vendors. So he takes off running, right? And this is one of the cooler scenes in the thing. So he's Rengoku's like, they get this kid all healed up that the slasher demon was trying to kill, and Rengoku takes off, total concentration breathing, and then he just becomes like a giant flame and fucking takes off. It's so cool animation wise, right? And the slasher gets to the station where they're selling the bento, and he tries to get the little girl, and the grandma throws a bento thing at his head to like try to get him away, and the little girl runs. So he goes after the little girl and pins her down, Fuku, on the tracks, and then you just see this flame in the background, just a flame just coming, and you're like, oh. And it's Rengoku, and he comes and he slashes the heel, right? He just slashes the heel. It's fucking cool as shit. Like, just slashes the heel, so so the demon has to heal up, so he's like kind of like can't walk because he got fucked, basically. Rengoku comes up, and the demon's like all like cocky, and Rengoku's like, I thought I told you not to get too cocky, right? And he's like, oh, well, let's see who's faster. Me or you, I'm going to kill this lady. And Rengoku goes, there's no reason to text it. And he goes, and he cuts off his head and goes slow after he kills him. He does it. This is my favorite scene in the thing. It's like the grandmother remembers Rengoku's father saving her and Fuku's mother. They do like a side-by-side of how Rengoku takes and pulls out his sword, puts it away, to exactly how his father pulled out. And the only difference is Rengoku smiles a little bit more. And then it basically ends there after he says, I will tell my father about you guys, and I will come back and visit after this train trip, right? It makes everything more emotional. If you watch this episode before you watch the movie is going to be way more emotional because you're going to be like, oh no. But if you watch the movie first and then you watch this is going to be emotional because you're going to be like, oh no, he can't do that. So the way I see this episode, this is my favorite episode. Like this episode is like near perfect. So for me it's like a 10, all right? I love it. The writing's great, the animation's great, the character's great. The dialogue's kind of ridiculous, but in a good way. Like it's how Rengoku's character is, right? When he's eating, he's like, delicious, delicious. So it's like it builds in his character. So the dialogue makes sense with the character. It's not like in Aquaman where he's like, oh, I smell, and it's really freaking stupid and takes you out of the movie and it's dumb. But I love this episode. This episode is great. I am so glad it came back, right? I had to pause it a couple times because it's sub, and I'm a slow reader because of my dyslexia. So I was pausing scenes and going back and rewatching them after I knew what they were saying. But I really like the episode. I recommend checking it out. It's good in subs. Like, I like it. I've watched it twice already. All right, you should check out Demon Slayer if you haven't. They have 5 TV specials. You watch it episode 1, 4, 5, then 2, 3. Because 4 and 5 are before 2 and 3. They left those out last year when they did the TV specials, but this year with the TV specials, they did not leave them out. So go check out this episode. Tell me what you think in the comments. I love this episode. I thought it was fantastic. I'll catch you in the next video. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and even follow my Twitch.